Everyone, I'm Chris. I'm one of the co-founders of Bodyswaps. It is my first time using Blackboard, so there might be some little issues. But you know what? This very webinar is about getting used to new technologies that can be a little bit scary at first. So I should practice what I preach. So what we're going to talk about today is really what's the goal, right? The end goal is not a technology. That just means is we want to support students to learn to communicate better, to communicate properly in a safe environment. And the subtitle is, how do you deploy immersive learning to do that? So on the right, I have an image generated with AI, and it looks a bit weird. The text at the bottom is very weird. Immersive learning with a U, nurturing students instead of businessmen. I mean, it's all very odd, and I think that's where we are right now, right? In this very odd time in where technology is not quite there yet, but should be studied nonetheless. So I'll introduce Bodyswaps. For those who don't know us, I'll be quite quick, I promise. Then Colin will take the stage to discuss a very practical case study, and then we'll hear from Laura, who truly is the real expert on VR deployment, since she's overseen about 200 of those. So Bodyswaps, before we talk about the robots and the AI and the VR, those are the humans behind it. So we've been around for about 5 years, 35 people today, have offices in the UK and now in the US, and we work with over 300 organizations actually now, and deliver training to over 120,000 learners. That's us on our Christmas Day a year and a half ago. We don't dress like this all the time. So what's the challenge that we're looking to solve? Well, quite simply, there is a soft skills gap across education, with over 2/3 of employers valuing soft skills now more than educational qualification when hiring. So if that's what employers value, and our job is partly to prepare students for employment, how do we teach that? How do we teach those skills that are so important? And the answer is that there is this impossible trade-off with traditional learning when it comes to bringing together learning performance and scalability. Work experiences are great, but they're hard to come by and logistically complex and costly to organize. We know that soft skills learning in the classroom through role plays is difficult because there is a lack of psychological safety, and students typically don't like to do this. Teachers also don't particularly enjoy doing that. And then you have e-learning, which is very cheap, very scalable, but just doesn't fit the acquisition of soft skills, of behaviors, right? Trying to learn job interview or presentation skills by watching
I'm in the thing meeting.
Is like trying to learn to play tennis by watching a video. So the idea is, can we use the new affordances of virtual reality and AI to deliver that better? There was this study a while ago now, 9 years ago. Mel Slater, a British researcher, worked with patients who were suffering from being depressed. And in this 8-minute VR experience, the patient here on the left, figure A, would be confronted with the character of a little girl crying, and then they would swap body with that little girl, right? So the little girl was crying. The patient will tell the little girl nice things for 90 seconds to get the girl to stop crying. There was no AI whatsoever. And then after 90 seconds, they would swap bodies. What I mean by that, for those who don't know that story yet, is the patient here, you can see, has a mocap suit that records her movement. And obviously the headset is also recording a voice. So what you're be able to do between figure B and figure C is to go back in time 90 seconds. And essentially, the patient is now receiving those words of empathy from an avatar that sounds like herself, moves like herself, and looks like herself, right? And this study was very interesting because on a 6-week baseline, it showed a greater reduction in the symptoms of depression from patients who had done 3 times 8 minutes in VR than from the control group who had done 3 times 1 hour of CBT. So you have something very powerful, very subconscious when it comes to behaviors. So 5 years down the line, we kind of like taken that idea and refined it and adapted it and turned it into a way to learn soft skills by practicing in your own voice and self-reflecting. So I could tell you that we have the very best platform in the world and it's going to stay that way forever, but actually we are rebuilding it. And we're rebuilding it because we spend a lot of time talking to people last year, to educators, and they told us that they wanted shorter modules, they wanted to tailor the journeys to their learners and not have just this kind of like linear thing that's supposed to be the same for everyone. They want to start using AI for practice and to customize it, even if it's imperfect. They want assessment built in, more data to be able to help the learners and the classes later. But, and that's a big but, all of that needs to not be an extra burden on the teacher's shoulders. So how we did this is we're soon releasing the new version of Bodyswaps, which is really focused on the needs of the educators, and will enable you to create pathways tailored to your learner needs. So I'll explain that in a minute. You'll be able to deploy very easily on any screen, and that integrates with the LMS. And finally, you'll be able to assess learning performance data at every level, right? Individual, class, and institution. So what I mean by a pathway is up until now, that's what you had in Bodyswaps. Learning modules, 15 to 45 minutes each, scaffolded, written by experts, acted with voice actor, very high quality, but nonetheless big scaffolded linear module. Now we're extracting bite-sized activities from those. But the really fun things, well, let me show you actually how that works. So when you go in a module, you typically take ownership of the body. We can do some, breathing practice. And then you're going to go through a series of exercises. There's over 25 different exercises, but some of the best sellers, so to speak, are observation, when you're observing a conversation between two characters, clicking when you see good or bad behavior, and getting a score and feedback and being able to revisit a specific moment. So that's, for example, sexist Sam, and you need to click every time you hear him being sexist. Then we typically up the stakes, and you now are confronted with sexist Sam or with the patient or with the recruiter, and you have to pick between three answers. So branch out scenario, you get feedback when you make a mistake. But obviously in the real world, when it comes to soft skills, well, you don't get to click, you don't get to choose A, B, or C. Otherwise it would be too easy. So in the body swap type exercise, you're going to get to speak in your own words, answer the job interview question, provide feedback to a colleague, present in public. You're going to do that in your own words, improvise, and then watch yourself back, exactly like in the experience that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Then you're going to get feedback. So there's different types of feedback. There's things about body language, how you move your hands, how you move your head. But increasingly, the more interesting feedback is provided by AI, basically analyzing your transcript against a set of learning objectives. So let's say you did an active listening module. Did you validate the emotions of the other character? And then you get your badges and your journals. So that's what we were known up until now. But what we're releasing now is customizable AI roleplay and customizable quizzes. So I'll go super quick because I'm conscious of time. But the idea is you can combine learning modules, AI roleplay, quizzes, and questionnaires into your own pathway. And so you have the learning aspect, the modules or the activities. The learning aspect is consistent. It's the same for every learner. It's 100% designed by humans. But the practice is customizable and leverages AI. So trying to get really the best of both worlds to keep everything safe and varied and engaging. So I'll go super quick on this, but if you want to customize a role play, you simply go on your web platform, select a template, and then within that template, let's say active listening in healthcare, select, what's the patient I'm going to talk to? What's their medical background? What's their concern right now? What's their mood? What's the difficulty of the interaction, and so on. And then you go and publish this, and then your learner will be able to jump in there and have a conversation. I don't know if I have a quick video here, if you're going to get the sound. Let's see if the gods of Blackboard are with me today or not. They do not seem to be with me. I will give it 5 more seconds. And if not, I will let you discover it by yourselves. Okay, so this is not working. That's okay. Just a little bit of teasing then. So what you would have here is interaction with an AI avatar. But let's move on to the next slide and to Colin. So what kind of pathways can you build? It depends on your type of intervention, right? You might have a short intervention, you know, FE. I have my T levels in hospitality. They have their first work experience or their first job interview. I want to prepare them for that. I'm going to do an anxiety exercise. I'm going to do an AI job interview for a hotel assistant, and then I'm going to ask them a self-reflection question on what they learned. Or you might have things that's much longer, right? Say HE Business School, Essential Skills for Emerging Leaders, 6 weeks. Every week you have a module, an AI role play, and a quiz, right? So really, it offers a mix of like scalability and tailoring. So I'm going to stop there before the top tips from Laura. Laura will come back at the end. Yes, we can share the link to the video. I shall do that as Colin presents. So Colin, if you want to take over, I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Christophe. Yeah, bear with me. It's my turn to see how I work with this, as it's my first time on Blackboard too. Okay. Is it coming up? Should be any second. Just trying to share.
I don't have anything just yet.
No, it says it's trying to share. I'm going to turn off my camera and see if that's what can help me. It says I'm sharing it. It's always the way. Technology, you just love it. Let's try one more time.
So if that doesn't work, what we maybe can do is to get Laura to present her slides and then come back to you, Colin.
Yeah, no problem. Here we go. We're on.
There we go.
There we are.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay. So thank you, Christophe, again. My name's Colin Smith. I'm the e-learning coordinator at Cornwall College. You'll see in a minute a little bit about the college itself, because I talk about the do's and the good things and not so good things. I have a little bit. I'm going to use quizzes. I was always told by somebody, if you're going to present, try something new for a change, just to keep yourself on your toes. So if you could scan that QR code. You don't have to if you don't want to, but there'll be a few questions as we go along. There you go. That's what let's see. People coming on. So I'll give it a few seconds and then we'll start. You don't say I don't. You don't have to. It's just, well, wonderful. Cool. It did. Yeah, it did, Chloe. Persistence. Oh, 10. We're going mad now. So I'm gonna start in a second. Oh, I can't start in a second because we have got not time. Right. Okay, go. Right, I'm going to start now. So, as I said, that my presentation take on a little bit more from what Christophe said is Bodyswaps, Cornwall College group, the good and not so good. It's not been, we've been on a journey for a little while. It's not been plain sailing, but you answer this question for me if you won't mind. You have 1 minute to do it. Have you heard of Bodyswaps before? I'm going to call it quits now because of the time.
You're asking those questions just to stress me out, Colin. I can see that.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to stop that now and move on to the next slide. So that it's only for me and just to get the habit, and I always have a starter exercise as we do. So our journey started in 2022 when we were fortunate enough to be able to actually do the pilot with GIS. There was 5 different colleges were involved, and we won the the chance to do it. So we had a couple of members from JISC, Sahara, and I can't remember her colleague. They came down, and fortunately enough, I was lucky enough to grab our CEO at the time and say to him, "You need to come and have a look at this." And I put him in the headset, and he loved it. And he said, "So why haven't we got it?" And I said, "Because you need to buy it." And he's gone out and did. He was, for his word, he did it. He's gone out and bought it, and we've been working with it for the last 2 years. Once we joined the team Bodyswaps, they were brilliant. They come down. Laura, who's on the call now, and Elise, and latterly Rosie have been our support, and they've been with us all the way along. They've come in, they've done sessions with us, they've taught us, they've followed everything. They followed everything we've done, our journey. They've been involved with, and we've had some really, really good sessions. So some of them, say there's one down there at Camborne, and we did one at St Austell, and so that was our first little move into it. The common consensus from all staff that when we were using them was the fact that, or we showed them, was that this was a brilliant tool. It was a brilliant thing, and they really, really wanted to get involved. They really wanted to see, how it could, how it would bring and offer subjects to life within their sessions, with especially the job interviews and the trials and tribulations that brings. So we also looking at things like the EDI with the racial bias and looking at different ways that we could do it. So they all really loved it, and they all thought this is such a brilliant tool. But there's a big but. The road has not been that long. It's not been that good. As you can see, our college actually spans 2 counties. And when I work down in Camborne, and if I have to go to Bicton, it takes me 3 hours on the train just to get there, which means that when it comes to training, it's been really, really tricky. The 2 young ladies that work with me are both on this call, Luda and Maggie, and there's only 3 of us, and we have 10 campuses. So it's been a really, really, really tricky journey to get the buy-in from everybody, because as we know, everybody's really, really busy in FE, and it's a case of, yeah, it's great, but it's another thing I have to do. As I say, they get it. They couldn't understand that the problem I had was they didn't know where they were going to fit it within the curriculum, and so I really wanted to look at our PPD and careers. So we spent a lot of time working with those, and over the last year, it's been really, really quite useful, and we've been able to actually move the agenda along. And I see Siobhan's on this session as well, and I went to, and she gets recognition in a minute, her and Glyn. I went to see Siobhan in Cwmbran, and just to have a conversation about how things have been working with her and how she was doing it. And she was saying to me, we do it through our learning centers, blah blah blah, and we take the emphasis away from the e-learning team. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. And so we've now moved on into the next stage. Another great pillar is the fact that T levels, as Christophe said earlier, they part of their module is to do with technology in your workplace. So when it comes to that, now we're doing a lot more work with the health and social care, childcare. As you can see here, there've been evidence of them working. We're now working, say, with the careers team and the student experience team in the learning centres. So all our learning centres now have the computers, have it on our computers in the learning centres. This is Josh, a little bit of a quote from Josh. I won't go into too much, but he's a health and social care, and he said that the Bodyswaps team steps CBR sessions really, really resonate within his T level. It's part of one of their modules. So they're Suzanne, we have 20 headsets at the moment across 10 campuses. It's really, really frustrating. But we are increasing them by another 20 in the next few weeks. Sorry, that answered your question, but I forgot where I was. Yeah, so it's Josh has been a great advocate, and fortunate enough, as you'll see in a minute, I've also worked with level 2. We did it through maths and English as well. And we've also done as different, Luda, who's my colleague here, she's worked with the level 2 early years as well at St Austell. So as they said, this is a quote from Sarah: the majority of the class enjoyed the experience and found it really, really useful and a lot of fun. It's something that they enjoyed, but like most things, not everybody likes the headsets. So the fact that we've had the computer-based system on there is really, really useful as well. And as I say, with the learning centres, we've now started to do it, move it out further. As you can see that here, they've got a mixture of headsets and computers. So this was our English and Maths activity week. So rather than just doing their GCSE Maths, Luda ran some sessions at St Austell again with the construction students, and they went in, and as part of their Maths and English, they looked at different things. They looked at their presenting skills or listening skills, whichever they fancied, and it became the fact that they really, really enjoyed. Yeah, again, we were really shocked about how they engaged with the process and how much, because these guys are usually very, very rowdy, as you can imagine. Construction workers, they used to be out on the site. The fact that it was a real world situation, and it was the fact that they were doing rather than listening, made such a big difference for them. We've also here, I've actually been targeting our PGC and DIT sessions now. So when it comes to that, I then put the new teachers through it. And so the new teachers get to experience it straight away, which with Josh was one of the first ones last year. And so he took it straight into his practice. So for us, it's become that's been a really, really good conduit. So we'll be actually getting people now. And we were talking about this morning, it's taken off. It's, we get people constantly asking us now, can we do this? Can we do this? And so it works really, really well. And it's actually, say, the more new staff are going out and working in departments, they go, oh, you've seen this, and it's disseminated it. But I say the problem is with our 10 campuses, it's so hard to get the word out. And so this is a little bit for Siobhan and Glyn. I went to see them. We had a chat about their VI license and how they put all their staff members through that. So I have created this. I'm not sure if it'll work, but there's a QR code on here that goes off to a RISE course that I've now made for the staff, so they can all go through it, and at the end they should get certification. Say me and Siobhan had a long chat about it. I didn't know. Yeah, I was really at a loss, and I've talked to Laura knows of the fact I've struggled to try and get this moving further and further, but it's just paid off, the fact that I've kept on and kept on. That's all right. Thank you, Siobhan. So last couple of questions before I call us up. After the session, do you think you might take the journey, and how are you, or if you have, how are you finding it? Just to check if your phones have not fallen asleep like mine have. Note to self: quizzes doesn't turns off. I can share the link with you, Siobhan. It's not a problem. I'll end the question. There you go. We've all got a list. And so, one more thing. You give me one or two words, you summarize how you feel about body swaps. Say, I won't put it out in front of everybody else. I'll keep it for myself, and I'll share it with Christophe. And so you,
That's the most stressful webinar I've ever done, Colin.
sorry, sir.
Now, I'm not sure if, do you want me to jump in here now? And
I'm just going to finish now, Laura. Now I'm out of here, so it's up to you now. That's me finished. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we can, if you need any questions, things like that, I'm sure that you can email me. But I shall let Laura take over now because I know that we're running a bit short.
Thank you, Colin.
Laura is some kind of an Olympian when it comes to speaking fast, so I'm sure you'll make it in time, Laura.
I did try and keep it short and snappy with the top tips that I shared, and I mean it's really valuable to hear from Colin because of the experience he's had firsthand, and again the learnings that have been shared between others using the platform I think is the most valuable thing that we see. What I just wanted to do, the journeys will all be different for everyone going through their first deployment, whether it's with Bodyswaps or their first immersive deployment. There are different challenges, but there are lots of wins. Every journey will be unique, but I'm hoping to share some insights that will be helpful to you wherever you are on that journey at this stage. It's quite broad because I don't know where you are, but I've started off by advising to, where's my mouse? Starting small with pilots. This is something that we see works really well. If you target areas that you know this will have real impact, but not kind of dreaming big and starting off with huge scale areas, but actually really making sure that you can understand what works in your context, be able to deliver that, showcase the value for that learner group, and allow them to really understand and realize the vision to then have that dream and kind of see that through to fruition. So my number one goal sounds a bit, or tip sounds a bit silly, but start small and scale up would be the starting point. Then don't stop talking about what you've been doing, and take photos of your deployments, gather feedback, use those to generate even more excitement. Make sure that those are turned into case studies that can be shared. I heard someone the other day saying, just talk about it in the staff room, or talk about it and kind of share the word about this great engagement that you had, and others will naturally follow. It's all about confidence and visibility, and so making sure what you're doing is seen and heard is a really important part of the journey. That also really relies on confidence of learners. So like Colin said, actually visibility and having people deliver their own sessions takes the burden off anyone who is maybe a learning technology team or those that are there to support with digital tools. But incorporating the confidence and engagement with this kind of technology and things like CPD days, internal faculty training. So Colegii Cymwaith is a college we have in Wales, and what they do is they actually use the EDI training for their staff. So their staff are engaging with the platform as learners, which means they're even more confident when going off to do this with their own then end users. I'm going to skim through these because I've seen the time, but really consider your space when you're deploying VR for the safety and confidence of each learners, especially with soft skills. You're talking out loud, it can be vulnerable, so really think about where you're doing that and what it's like for them. Don't forget a strong Wi-Fi connection, headphones for privacy, batteries and wipes. An alternative device is definitely something to bring. Not everyone is able to engage with VR just yet, or ready to. So make sure that you have a PC or mobile, which is what Bodyswaps can also run on, so that they don't miss out on the opportunity to develop the skills. And then finally, don't stop gathering the feedback. Always ask how this impacted learners, what they think about the engagement, and what actual impact that has on the skills that you're developing. So where they go on to work, or what they're actually hoping to achieve with the different training that you're delivering. Sorry that I ran through that so quickly. I hope it's helpful. We're very happy to engage with you on this. I saw a comment from Northumbria University. There are so many different ways that we see rollouts, and we'd be very happy to obviously explore that with you. So I'm going to pause there and hand over to you, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. So last 10 seconds. If you want to get early access to everything that we've discussed today, you can scan that QR code. And if you don't have time to scan that QR code, you can just send me an email, chris@bodyswaps.co, so .co at the end, not .com, chris@bodyswaps.co, and we'll be happy to sort you out. Thanks a lot for your time. Have a lovely rest of your day and lovely weekend, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.
Bye.